Hey guys, now that I've posted my high score of 1.11 billion damage in Djinn, I would like to share with you the ways on how you'll be able to utilize your damage in this mode. So without any further ado, let's go. Number 1, Hero Lineup. Hero Lineup is the most important one in achieving higher damage in Djinn Range. For guides, you may check that through the strategy option, which is located here. So here it will show you a list of firepower heroes alongside which spec ops are needed, cores, accessories, and weapons. Spec ops plays an important role in a lineup as it helps increase the potential damage of the whole team. Therefore, my recommendation alongside MSAs is to only use 1 firepower then 2 spec OPS. Here are the lineups per firepower. This is both from MSA strategy and from my own observation. To state the obvious, Kukik and Saya are indeed the best spec ops duo for every lineup for now. Now let me show you my character lineup. I currently have Saya and Kukik as spec ops while Trevor as my firepower. It is one of the recommendation from MSA's strategy section and is probably the best lineup for those who've obtained the 2 spec ops I mentioned. Next is hero positioning. Hero positioning is important, as all spec ops passive buffs have a duration. So in my case, I placed Saya first so she can inflict her skill to decrease the opponent's defense and movement speed. Then second is Kukik, so he can inflict the debuff and attack bonuses, which have a shorter duration than Saya's skill. Then last in line is Trevor. As a firepower, he is our damage dealer, so all he has to do at this point is to inflict a debuff and inflict as much damage as possible. You may refer to my previous table, which also shows who goes first, second, and third. Debuffs. Debuffs is another factor in getting higher damage. The more debuffs, the higher damage. 3 different debuffs are recommended, and here's a table per lineup. Next is hero switching. Here's an illustration on the transition will take place. From first spec ops, inflict skill and debuff, then on to the next spec ops, and perform the same drill. Again, take note that the second spec ops needs to have a better buff for the firepower. This way the buff will last longer once it's the firepower's turn to inflict damage. From second spec ops to firepower, inflict debuff and continue to damage the Djinn. From here, you'll continue to attack until the first debuff is about to expire. Then the cycle will repeat. Here's a very short clip from my recent Djinn Range. Started with Saya, inflict debuff and skill. Switch, same action for Kukik. Then Trevor to continue damaging Djinn and continue to monitor the first inflicted debuff's duration. Now returning back to Saya and repeat the steps. Another loop, let's go. That's it. Perfect timing of switching to inflict debuff is very important. Practice makes perfect, and I know you can do it. Gears and accessories. These items, especially the accessories, will be a game changer in a Djinn Range mode. Importance about gears are simply the stats, while accessories their effects. Luckily, there's only few accessories per hero, so it's not that hard to differentiate two accessories by simply reading them. Just like this one for Trevor. There's the Assault Front and the Energy Drink. Assault Front inflicts 1 extra stack of mark, while Energy Drink will recover 3% of Trevor's HP when in bayonet mode. Suffice to say, you do not need to heal yourself on a Djinn Range mode, therefore Assault Front is the obvious choice. While most of us aren't lucky with gems, just keep on forging and they'll just show up. Higher rarity gives higher TP, but sometimes the stats and effects varies. Sometimes Legendary doesn't have better stats than a rare gem. Sometimes rare gem has better effects than Legendary gem. It is up to you if you prefer a higher TP or better stats and effects. If you really want to hit high in Djinn Range, might as well prioritize stats and effects. Hero talents and promotions. While there's a recommendation for lineup, doesn't mean it's enough. Knowing your hero's talents and promotions are also important, such as identifying the damage and passive effects. As much as possible, promote your heroes to get the later talents and upgrade as soon as you've obtained the required weapon. Just like in Saya's skills, the shockwave gun will reduce the opponent's defense and movement speed. That's why I placed her first, so that after inflicting the skill, the later attacks will inflict greater damage because of the skill's effect. Ultimate skills are not just ultimate skills. They also have passive skills, which will take effect even without the active skill itself. Knowing this, I then know that Saya's presence in the team will deal 3% weapon damage per debuff present, which means there'll be a total of 9% weapon damage, assuming you'll be able to maintain 3 debuffs all throughout the Djinn Range attempt. Familiarizing yourself on your hero's skills and talents are important, as it'll give you an edge in dealing higher damage in Djinn Range. Cores and stats. Know your hero's recommended attributes, then focus on cores that have those recommended attributes. Know your hero's recommended attributes. Then focus on cores that have those recommended attributes. In Kukik's case, we have crit damage and penetration attributes. Crit damage to prolong debuff bonus, and penetration attribute to increase the Falcon's damage. The higher the stats, the better. Sometimes the stats won't be able to support both, so understanding the effects is important, and prioritize which recommended attribute will benefit you more in a scenario. Last but not the least, cores. Not only that they'll provide additional effects to your heroes, but also serves as majority of your stats. Just look at my Dino Claw core. As you can see, the recommended attribute is highlighted in orange. This is for you easily identify the recommended stat on your hero. Take note that there are other stats that are important other than the recommended ones, such as penetration in this case. Because penetration itself will ignore opponent defense, and Trevor has a talent that decreases the opponent's defense further every time he inflicts damage using air/kick. Another thing to take note of are the cores on the right. I highly recommend to use attack cores on the right for firepower and not HP nor defense. Again, as a firepower, they are the damage dealers, therefore attack is recommended for them on the right side. While Spec Ops, you can either maintain attack cores if you have good stats. But since we're only talking about Djinn Range in this video, they basically exist to inflict debuff and provide buffs to the team. Attack isn't necessary, you can just use HP or def with better stats. Attributes will also be shown in the core section, but take note that this is only stats that are only in the cores, and not from other aspects such as gears, etc. So it's still best to check the overall attribute through the character section. So here's my cores and stats on my current lineup. For more guidance, MSA strategy option is there to help you. Though if you have any questions, feel free to ask me via the comment section. If you noticed, I haven't mentioned weapons because I know not everyone will have the same weapon. Best advice here is to keep on upgrading your weapon level. Core level also plays an important role when it comes to increasing overall stat. For me, I usually prioritize core level. Once that's maxed out in the meantime, I then proceed in leveling up the weapon level. And that's about it for Djinn Range. Hope you guys learned something from this video. Please do like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos.